we're going to ask the same question about disc golf as a whole sport, the sport of disc golf, not really any organizations. What would you keep and what would you change?
I mean, this one, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty broad one, so I'll try to be pretty simple with it. Disc golf as a whole, what makes the sport so great is the accessibility. That is how cheap it is to get a disc, frankly, how easy it is to get a disc, and then how many courses there are and how most of the time they're free. That's the best part about disc golf, and that's what needs to not change. I'm not saying never pay to play courses because, I think there's a place for them, but I also love the accessibility of free courses, and as long as they're at public parks, which is typically the go-to move, then they will be free. And then as far as disc prices, they're going to go up as inflation goes up, but like they're never going to be in a ridiculous price because at the end of the day, they're just plastic. So that's what I would keep.
If it ever got to a place where it was ridiculous pricing,
somebody would undercut.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing.
I mean, that's the great thing. And then as far as what I would get rid of with this, or what I would want to change, I guess, about the sport, this is a tough one as a whole. I would say, along with I would say there's a developing attitude within the sport of like, oh snap, disc golf is growing really fast. Maybe we should slow down the growth of the sport. And there's people that are starting, like, this is the first time I've seen this because I've been into disc golf for quite a long time. This is the first time I've ever seen people start talking about like the sport's growing a little too fast. My local course is too crowded, that kind of mess. And like that's really selfish and awful for the sport. And people are starting to get a little like becoming what they basically like living long enough to become the villain type scenario.
You die here or live long enough.
Right, where like they're like, we don't like ball golf because it's so exclusive and like we won't let you play with us type of thing. And then I see people acting the same way in disc golf. So like I've seen some hypocritical behavior.
I'll start with what I would change because it was that.
Yeah.
I said I would change the gatekeeper mentality is what I called it. But basically, yeah, I mean, it's not seen everywhere, but it is beginning to be seen more and more, where they're cool with the growth of the sport as long as it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
But like,
right,
that doesn't make any sense because it's going to. And I think one thing too is like, we need to be willing to change with the sport. Like as the sport grows, there's going to be changes that maybe not everyone likes. There's going to be changes that we won't like. And I think with growth comes change, but also with that change, the community needs to welcome it, see how it goes, and then we need to all as a community be willing to be like, yeah, that didn't work. Let's go back. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's do that. But we got to try it. You know what I mean? Because if we never try it, we'll never know. And, we obviously voice opinions, like the fourth major. It's the same idea with that, right? Like, yeah, that seems like it's going to suck. But you know what's going to happen is we're all going to show up. We're all going to cover it with as much as we possibly can. We're all going to talk about it and promote it. Because what if it doesn't suck?
Yeah, and if it does suck, we can change it.
Yeah, and then if it does, we're small enough that we just snap our fingers and it never happened. Yeah. No one will even know in the history. I mean, it'll always probably be one of those like weird topics of like, did you know in 2022, won the weirdest major ever? You know what I mean? Like one of those videos in like sports history. But we got to be willing for change to happen, even when it's change that we might not like. Yeah. I'm all for like voicing opinions and letting people know like, hey, I don't like it. But I don't like the idea of being like, we need to slow the sport because, there's too many people coming in the sport that are blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And one area we saw it was with that whole like Brody's sign thing. Yeah. And like, that's one thing too that I don't like the idea of is grouping new players into a category. Right. And using it negatively. Right. That is never a good idea.
The whole idea of like new players don't know etiquette. Did you know etiquette when you were a new player?
None of us
did. Like guess how you teach them? By playing with them and by telling them, hey, by the way, like when you're playing, like don't do this, don't do that. I mean, when I started playing ball golf, like that's how it was. Like there's weird etiquette in all forms of golf, like walking, like in ball golf, walking in front of somebody's line on the green. Like you don't do that. You walk around it. Like that's something you learn though. And like, yeah, that is so rich for people to be like, they don't know how to treat the course and play by the rules. Well, they're going to learn.
Yeah, they're either
like
going to
everybody does.
Or you're going to make them never want to play disc golf again because they're going to be like, those bunch of jerks. And what's funny is, the thing that I was about to say I love about disc golf is the same people that are doing this sometimes are the same people that if you ask them about the disc golf community would talk about how great the community is and how welcoming it is.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you said. But that is something that is also, on the flip side of this coin, very true. Right. And that's something that I think is what I wouldn't change about disc golf, is the small community feel of the sport locally. I think that is crucial. It's just like in anything, the more people you can make feel a part of growing the sport, the better it's going to be. Because then if you get all these new players and you're able to get some of them out to a work day at a course, right? And at that work day at the course, they're cutting in this path or something, or like cutting into the hillside to make it more easily accessible to walk up, or putting stairs in on a course or something like that. Then they're proud of that. Now every time they come back to the course, they're like, hey, you see those stairs?
Yeah.
I cut that in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're picking up sticks. They're doing whatever. They now feel ownership of the sport. Mm-hmm. That's how you grow the sport on a local level. Mm-hmm. Because that's what's going to be crucial as the sport goes forward, is keeping that small community feel where we as players are the ones investing into these courses and putting our time and sweat equity into it, is going to make it where we treat them better, we keep it up more and stuff like that, to where we don't have to rely on it turning into a pay-to-play only type thing. Because that's what would happen, is if we push all these people away and they never become part of local clubs and weeklies and, you know, work days at courses, the only way courses are going to be able to be kept up is if we pay someone to.
Yeah.
And that's where pay-to-play comes from. Mm-hmm. So I like the small community feel on a local level, and I think that's something that even if the sport gets massive, keeping that small community locally is going to be crucial for the betterment of the sport.